Hello and welcome to the fourth lesson of your course, QGIS Origin. In this lesson, we'll be looking at layer styling and visualization. We'll look at how to change the symbology of your data set. After importing it to your QGIS map canvas, you can change the symbology from the default to anything of choice. And then we'll see how to adjust your symbology, not just by colors, but also based on the data on your attributes table. We'll be seeing all of that. We'll be seeing labeling as well, and we look forward to completing this part. So, welcome to Special Data Hub. I have open here my attributes table, the world cities population, and the country's administrative boundaries. If you do not have this data set, do well to check the description of this video for a link to the Google Drive where these data sets are, or you could also experiment with yours. Now, on our world cities data, let's work with this first. You can turn off this guy. Let's try to change the symbology. You could use here single symbol. This is the layer which we are working on. Now you can adjust the color of this your symbol to any color of choice. You can adjust it using the color wheel. You can adjust the depth of the color using the color wheel, and it works that way. You can adjust the sizing of your symbols if you want them to be bigger, and then you can adjust the transparency of these symbols still on the color wheel. You can include some transparency to make it that symbols that are below, if they overlap, will also be visible, will not be covered completely. Then if you click on simple marker, you'll be able to adjust the adjust other things like the stroke color. The stroke color, you can make it black, you can make it red. The stroke, which is like the outline, right? So you could adjust the stroke color. You could adjust the stroke style to any of the options here, or you leave it as solid line, or no, that's a different kind of color wheel. You can also use this color wheel to adjust your colors by clicking on it. In the case we used earlier, we clicked on the drop down. I prefer that anyway. So whatever you're comfortable with, clicking on it gives you the option to enter the color code of that color, of your color of choice. You can play around with any of these other settings. Let's go back here. Here you could find symbols. So there are a list of symbols. If you notice, if you click on this administrative boundaries, the options change, right? Because these are polygons. For points, there are a bunch of symbols which you could try out here. You could use the drop down to select, instead of all symbols, you could use colorful. If you want different kinds of colors of points, the representation, you could use grayscale. Just play around with anything that you want here. Let's go to all symbols. If you're working on, say, a power distribution network, you could simply search for power, and then you see different symbols which you could use for transformers, for devices, power jumpers, as the case may be, the switch. So see this well pump. So you could use different symbols to represent your data and making it more illustrative for better visualization. So that's about symbology. Of course, like I said, you can also adjust the symbols of polygons using any of these options here. That could look very crazy. So let's just go back to something simple. You see, I think I'll just control our choice. Yes. So now next we'll look at is categorized symbols. Categorized symbols helps you to categorize your data set. If you have different, let's say on your attributes table, for example, on my attributes table here, I have categorized my world cities population randomly, just in case you see a country here. I've categorized it according to first world, second world, and third world countries randomly again. So I want to show you how to categorize your symbology using these options. Let's use something very simple. Yeah. Now let's categorize our data set using the rank. I called this column rank. You should definitely remember how to populate a column like this. So instead of single symbol, click on it and select categorized. Then set your value to the field which you are working with, which is rank, and then click on classify. It will classify the data according to the unique features on that column. Do you get that? So if we have several features, for example, if we decide to categorize this based on country name, we'll have all the list of countries, or based on what's it called, continent name, we'll have the list of continents as the case may be. We can take this guy off because it's not relevant to our data. Now, after categorizing your data, this is not where it stops. You could also adjust these colors individually to a more suitable color. So let's say first world. We want first worlds to be very bright green, and want that is okay. Then we want third worlds to be very bright red. Again, this is done randomly. So this is what we mean. You can categorize your data based on your attributes, the attributes of your data. Then you can also um create graduated symbols. For example, if you look at our data set, we have a population column that shows you the population of each of these cities in the data. So we can do that. We can work on that by saying, let's categorize it. Let's use a graduated symbol for this data. So click on graduated. We'll select our, of course, the options here are limited because it deals only with numbers, right? It deals with numbers, while categorized data deals with text. So select our city's population. You select the number of classes. I like to work with 4 classes because it makes it for better. It's less granular and easier to deal with. Of course, it depends on your choice. Then you can select this color ramp to use either blues, as the case may be. Okay, let's leave this guy. We could work on this instead, the administrative boundaries, and make it into a Choropleth map. To select it as graduated. I believe there should be a population data here. Okay, so pop est is the population data, population estimate, exactly. So let's classify this into 4 classes, and then we can turn off this other guy. It shows us the population estimates of all these countries as a corporate map. So based on their colors, the darker colors referring to the countries having the largest populations, and the lighter colors countries having the least populations. The totally white have the lowest. So you can change the color ramp to blues, as some people like. You could change it as well to literally anything. And even after changing this way, you could adjust the individual colors. Double click. You can adjust the individual colors to anything of choice, as I showed in the last example. Now, after creating this graduated symbol, you can adjust the upper and lower values. For example, most times I like to normalize this. Since this is 157,000 plus, let's just make it 150,000, 123. So that your data is more rounded up and all of that. You could go do well to adjust all of these. For example, now you can call this 5 million, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you can adjust your data set, your class boundaries to make sure that it is it is easier to understand and relate to. Also, you can adjust these values here. These values are what will be represented on your legends. If you do not want to see all of these zeros, you can easily say, that was 150k, 150,000, right? Let's call it 150k. Yes. Or if you want it, since the rest of the data is in millions, you can call this 0.15. Understood? Yeah. So you can now, when you represent your legend, every other thing is in millions. And the 0.15 is also represented in millions. So that's how you can work on that credited symbol. The next we'll work on is labeling. We'll work on labeling. First, let's work on copy and pasting styles. So you can turn off this guy. Let's turn on this one too. So we see this style. This is the way this point feature is. We want to copy the style from another feature, which is the second one which we worked on. Right click, go to styles, copy style. You can choose to copy all the style categories that would affect everything. Or you could choose to copy just the symbology. Turn off this guy, go back to this one, right click, go to styles, paste style. Because you copied only symbology is highlighted. So you can see paste, and then automatically it pastes the styles here. This works across projects. So you could copy a style from one project and paste it on a different project if you do not want to recreate the style from scratch. It works all of the time. So that's about that. Next thing you can do is to add labels to your data set. So we have our world countries here. Let us use something that is milder on our eyes. Why is it not changing? Let's use blues. Okay. Now we want to add the symbols. This is our countries. We want to add the formal English name and the population. Yes. So that when you're going through and perusing your data, you'll be able to see what country and what's their population. Click on under your layer styling, click on labels. Change the no label to single labels. I had worked on this a little earlier. So let's just go back from scratch. So let's say we want to show the formal English name first. Yours is likely showing in black. So what you'll do is that under your text settings, go to color, use the color wheel to select a different color that will be clearer on the base color which you have chosen. So you can see the names according to the countries on the data set. Then you can change the text sizing and make it bigger. You could add a background. Yep. You could draw a background behind it. So this works when you are working with a different color. Let's use black. Now you see that the labels are more visible. Always do what works for your data set, because as you adjust the zoom level, it messes it up and might not be always suitable for your data. Next thing we'll do is that we can, like I said, we wanted to also show the population. So this is just the names. Let's go back to our labels. Under the value, instead of using the drop down to select any particular field, click on the expression. It opens up an expression dialog. So now we have the name of the country. We'll add a concat function. Concat function can help us to concatenate two fields into our label styling. Now on the list by the side, you see the fields and values. Click on the drop down and select another field. Population estimate, double click on it. Of course, you can always type this out yourself by saying double quotes pop. It already even gives us the options. Click on enter and it's population estimate. Population estimates. Now look at this point here on my screen where I'm focused on. You see the first option, the first preview is previewing the first field, the first row, Republic of Azerbaijan, and it gives us the population. It looks a bit tacky because there is no space between the name of the country and the population. Let's work on that. We'll add a text, okay? For you to understand it better, what we'll be doing is we'll be concatenating another feature, another text inside it just to add space or hyphen. So to add a text here, you can use your single quotes and add anything you want inside it. A space will already automatically give us the space. If you are watching this point here, where it's previewing the data, you could add double space and triple space. You could, in between the space, add a hyphen. You could add a slash to separate your data and literally anything. Let's just use this slash. Remember, single quotes. If you do not add this space, so it adds anything that is in between these single quotes. If you don't add this space, it will not add the space for you. You can also add text of choice. Yes, so, but that would apply to all the data. So if you want to show a particular text on all the data, fine and good. That's fine. And you're done, click on OK. Now you can see the name of the country and the population. So let's try out that text on the data, right? I think I just had an idea. So add another concat. Again, you could use this to go to the next page. Of course, you need to concat it, as you can see. So you add a concat on both sides of it. That's for backwards slash and n. It takes any text after that to the next page. Now let's do something else. Let's go here and see population equals, let's close this with quotes, add another concat. We did not open this with quotes. Exactly. I didn't spell my population properly. Now you can see name of the country and population equals this. I hope this is clearly understood. If it's not, skip back, watch it again, and try to understand it. For every entry that you add to your expression, you need a concat. And then for fields or values, existing fields or values, you need a double quotes. For new fields which are need text which you are bringing in, whether it is space or a hyphen or a full-blown text, you need a single quotes. For fields, you need a double quotes. When you're done, click on OK. I like what I see. Not because this is beautiful, but you can always adjust it to what you need. So that'll be it for this video. I'll add in the description of this video, there's no need adding it here. I'll add how to create heat maps, how to create okay, let's work on something else. The graduated symbology. Graduated symbology, we can work on something. Let's turn off this guy. Now, on this graduated symbology, there is another way to work on this. While it is graduated based on colors, you could change this here to based on size, so that cities having smaller populations will be shown with smaller size of circles, of dots, right? Yes. So that's what you could do. You can adjust the minimum size to say, let this be 2. It adjusts accordingly. And you can adjust this to say, let this be 12. And it adjusts accordingly. So that smaller cities having smaller population have small circles, while cities having larger population have larger circles. You can always adjust the number of classes. You can adjust the way this is split. This affects every other example which we've given in the past. If it is equal interval or equal interval, you will understand the statistics. I wouldn't teach you that. So every other thing that's here, standard deviation, equal counts or quartiles. I prefer to use these quartiles because it kind of splits the data according to how the data is, not according to pre-existing knowledge. Then one thing you can also do is that you can adjust the opacity of this, like I showed you earlier, so that cities that have smaller symbols behind them will be visible even at a larger zoom. That'll be it for this video. Check the description of this video if you'd like to try out a lesson. I want you to show the world cities in a nice Choropleth map using any color of your choice. Also show another image showing your labeling. Let it show the name of the country, the population, and the economy of the country. Yes, do that and make your post on LinkedIn using the directions in the document. And I'll see you in lesson 5 of your course.